number four,
Four.
right? And instead of you guys beefing with each other and figuring out, we go on this little road trip from not so fun. And first of all, I'm like the car situation. The fact that who allowed him to drive, right? That alone would have been like, you done. You done. Look at the vehicle, right? And then you run into a group of people that, you're like, wait a minute, well, how we get in this? But yeah, so I loved how now you guys are the ones advising. So talk about that. Before you were still figuring it out how to work within each other's groups and then how to navigate high school, but now it's like you're seeing in this new group of friends what you dealt with it within yourselves.
Totally. One, I just have to say, I love that you mentioned the car. Yeah,
Yes.
I laughed hard too because, yes, Zed should not be driving. I think actually any other person in that car probably would have been more capable. Yes, things could go awry easily, especially when you have something like just a wristband holding you together. But no tea, no shade. So I love Zed. That's my guy. But of course, you know what? Canon event because it led us to the adventure of zombies for down with vampires. We have a little detour. We now meet these two brand new monster factions, the Daywalkers and the vampires. And as you mentioned, they are at odds with each other. And I think it's a situation that feels familiar to the OG crew. We have known divisiveness, and we've known that struggle over learning how to embrace individuality and coming together to be stronger. And so what I love about this film is that while thematically there's still so many of those lessons that we've seen and have evolved over the films, but you really get to see our OG crew like put what they've learned into action and like really implement those lessons and step into these roles of camp counselor, of mentor, and lead this younger generation to ultimately, hopefully, coming together to work to fight something that I cannot say because that would be a spoiler, but a greater danger. And I think that's really important at the end of the day to kind of put what's aside and come together to be stronger. And so, yeah, I think it's a fun movie, and I'm excited for people to see it.
Let's talk about the bops because we can't
Yeah,
have a Disney movie without the bops,
yeah.
right? So how much fun is it? Because not only these songs get recorded, but you know that your audience learns the songs as well, and that's one of the things that they enjoy. So talk about that part of it. You guys aren't only acting, but you've got a whole costuming, then you got to dance, and you get new bops. Talk about how much fun it is to know that these songs that you're recording are going to be a fabric, of these young people's lives.
I will say it's a lot of pressure sometimes because I am still belting out songs from my childhood. I grew up on DComs. And so to know that millions of people will be listening and learning these songs and that they could, in any way, shape, or form be an integral part of someone's childhood the way that songs have been for me growing up, that's a lot of pressure. But it's made so much easier when you know that you have such an incredible creative team behind you to support you. I mean, we have some of the best songwriters and producers who have actually created these bops that I grew up with. And so they are like Disney legends. And so it's kind of like a pinch me moment every time I step into the booth. I'm like, oh my goodness, like you wrote whatever, like, and so it's fun. It feels like a lot of responsibility, but also it's like it's music. It like makes you feel something, it brings people together, it gets you up and dancing. And it really connects people to these characters in such a beautiful way. And so yeah, I'm so excited for the music in this film. It is so good. It is so addicting to listen to. This soundtrack is honestly one of our best. And that's a hard, like that's a tough statement to say because I think the music has always been like 10 out of 10. This is like 11 out of 10. So, and that's just my unbiased opinion.
One of my favorite moments of yours, though, is when, they try to push up and you're like, "Grr." Just like,
Yep. Yeah, but things come out
was that in
across.
the script or was it just something you ad-libbed? Because I was like, I know you were like, not today, sir. Not today. You are confused about who's running stuff.
I love that you asked that question. There was a moment that was in the script where I kind of like snarl and all the kids scurry into bed. But then MK decided to like peek his head out again, and then of course I had to like hit him with a rah. And so that was a little unscripted moment that we kind of collaborated and brought to life, which honestly I it made it into the trailer cut, which we were very thrilled about. I think it's a really funny, cute moment. But yeah, it was not scripted.
Also talk about, I think, just as a mom, I'm always like, okay, everything is either for younger kids, like grade school kids, and then we skip and we go immediately to high school. This is one of the few genres where we still have stuff for middle school kids because it's important, right? We all had our little stores, whether we went to Claire's and spent a little bit of money, just as, limited to like, it seems like we've ignored that demographic. You're supposed to still like you got your feet in both worlds. Talk about how nice it is that you guys are these movies do represent that demographic. That's still wants kiddish things, but they don't want it to be too babyish. But at the same time, they still enjoy like song and dance and just like regular lyrics.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I think it's a really interesting time just in, in entertainment and media right now where, yeah, you kind of see these extremes where there's content for really young kids, like babies, and then there's content for, like the more young adult audience, but that kind of middle that like I'm going through puberty and I'm figuring out who I am, and that like right in there it's kind of sometimes content is lacking at times. And I think what's so awesome about the zombies world is it really does. And I know this is not even just like a pitch or me saying this because I have met so many people of all different ages, of all different backgrounds, of all different like walks of life who love these movies. And I think it is fun and colorful and like this vivid world of like fantasy that feels like at times, youthful and silly and goofy, but it also has a maturity and a seriousness to it. The stakes really are high, and the heart you can feel it's like palpable in these films, and the themes that we explore really are so important for, I would say, anybody of any age. But oftentimes I think when you're a teenager and you're trying to figure out who you are and what you want, and what stepping into your individuality and embracing yourself for all that you are looks like. I think it's nice to have role models like a Zed or an Addison or an Eliza or Willa who have been through that, but then also this younger generation who are going through that, and they're all still going through it. We're all still on our own journeys. I'm 25 almost, and I'm still going through it. And but it really does bring the people together. It brings families together. People watch it together. There's truly something for everyone. And yeah, you don't get to see that a lot anymore, so I'm just really grateful to be a part of a franchise that has something for everybody.
Also, I would say, I think with you guys being you being a young Black woman being in this, I think the other thing that I love is that the parts of, of course, you're wearing a costume, you're playing a zombie, but at the same time, there is like you get to wear your hair
Yeah.
texture. And I think those types of things are really important. How much input do you have to be able to say, yes, we're playing a character, but there is a portion of the audience that doesn't look like everyone else, and they need to see snippets of themselves. And it also helps the brand, you know?
100%. That representation is so important to me because, growing up, I wanted to see myself in spaces that oftentimes, it lacked someone that looked like me, that I felt that I could deeply connect to and resonate with. And so to be that for someone else, for a young kid, a young girl, um, looking to see her curls on screen, looking to see her skin tone, like glisten in the light and be beautiful and feel powerful, but then also like be feminine. It's those. I think seeing is believing. And so to see that on screen, I think when a young girl sees Willa and sees her fierce and fabulous, I think it does something, and it's like something intangible and sometimes unidentifiable, but I know for me stepping into that character, it's given me so much confidence and assuredness in myself. And I see when kids dress up as her for Halloween or sing her songs, it just it's like this joy and exuberance and confidence that just flows out of them. And it's so heartwarming. So I just feel so grateful to be a part of that magic for someone else in their life and be a role model, or just to see that representation. I think it's just so 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 important. Yeah.
Agree. Thank you so much, Chandler, for your time and best of luck with everything. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.